right ahead.
Yay!
Thank you.
Hello, everyone! Welcome to the process of creating a hit Vocaloid song, which was also known as clickbait to get you here. The song is half a hit. And it's, I'm going to try and make this as accessible as possible. I assume you're here because you know what Vocaloid is. But if you don't, look! There's pictures. I didn't put any bullet points because bullet points are for cowards who don't know what they're talking about. So Vocaloid is a vocal synthesis software, which essentially human singers record a compilation of sounds or clips, and it is plugged into a machine wherein they sell these voice banks, as they're called, to artists, who then are able to use these voices like any other instrument. They're synthesized. I use the word Vocaloid because that's the big one. For the longest time, Vocaloid was the synthesizing software. Nowadays, what a Vocaloid is a bit more ambiguous because there are new Vocaloids on the scene. On the left, you can see Hatsune Miku, who I'm sure all of you have seen at least once in your life. She is a Vocaloid in the pure sense, and she's sort of the one who helped rise to this popularity. She's not the first, but the Vocaloid community is very popular because of these characters. It allows you to give a lot of personality to your songs, and just allows you to create lots of different variations on designs, and lots of fun things. On the right is Kasane Teto, who is the new it girl of the Vocaloid scene. I have a friend who, in college, just really didn't know anything about Vocaloid, and when I explained to him what a Vocaloid was, he was like, oh, Hatsune Miku? Fast forward 4 months later, he's like, hey, have you heard this Kasane Teto song? And I'm like, okay, no, but how do you know what that is? Anyway, she's Synthesizer V. Synthesizer V is a different software, and it's what most popular Teto songs use. That's also what I use. So, first thing that was clickbait. I don't quite use Vocaloid. People use Vocaloid as an umbrella term. Some people are very just completely like smartasses, and whenever people call Kasane Teto a Vocaloid, they're like, actually, listens to me. And those people are the worst. Don't talk to them. So I am a Vocaloid artist in a broad sense. I use synth V personally because it is a better program. You may have seen lots of different Vocaloid songs in your life. I put some popular ones here. In my original presentation, I sort of went through all of them, but who here does not think that they have heard of a Vocaloid panel? Sorry, I got distracted by a person hearing it and leaving. Who here thinks that they have never heard a Vocaloid song before? Raise your hand. Okay, no one. If one person would say that, I'd say you're wrong, young cat. But no one said that.
There was Vocaloid?
That's Hatsune Miku, baby.
I did not know that. Oh my god.
So you have heard of Vocaloid. Everyone on planet Earth with an internet connection has heard a Vocaloid song, technically. Next question, who am I? Well, my name is Tulip, or Tulip P, or Tulip Petals, a lot of different aliases, and I am a creator. It's really dark there. I wish it was lighter. But it says that I have 5,200 subscribers, so I know what I'm talking about. Yay! I like to make vocal synth songs, and some of my achievements that I get to brag about, I was featured on the official Hatsune Miku new releases playlist twice in my life. Twice. Twice. So I'm Hatsune Miku approved. Here's my most popular songs. So right there is Chaser's Fuck Off. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. Which is currently sitting at 153,000 views. It's my most popular song by a mile, and it's where these two people probably
Okay.
calling you out, sorry.
That's fair, that's fair.
So my two most popular songs, I like to write queer songs. That's generally what I do as a queer person myself. Those tend to be lots of my subject matter, I will say. And so most of the people who follow me are trans or gay or both. But today we will be reviewing and going over how I made my third most popular song, because the first two songs have strong language and other stuff that I don't feel comfortable going over here. But let's start the rest of the thing. I have a video on my YouTube channel called Panel, which is unlisted. No one knows about it. All right, let me go full screen. Here, I'll try this. see. I wish it was brighter. I wish everything was brighter. Why is it so dark?
Can't we just close the light in the room?
Wait! You're coming up with good ideas!
Yes, you're welcome.
Is this a light switch? Who
Is there
knows?
a light switch?
Too filmy, I think.
Oh my god, darkness!
You're in darkness now.
Yeah.
Alright, so I tend to start my songs off in a couple of ways. But it usually comes down to 4 things. It comes down to vocal melody, chords, bass, and drums. In this particular example, I started with a vocal melody. This vocal melody is something that I came up with in bed. I just all of a sudden had like a thought and I rushed downstairs out of bed to sloppily record the melody because I had an idea that I wanted to get out. And let's play that right now. Why is there no audio? Why do you hate me? Why do you hate me?
Oh no!
Turn the. Is it trying to output it to the projector?
Oh, it might not be. I'm not even thinking. I went to sound school, by the way. I paid lots of money to go to sound school, and this is the result.
Yes.
Is this
Sound settings probably is output headphone port.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it says it's doing. Output volume. Let's see. It's just coming out of what? Oh. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
they had
We can hear things now. Okay, this is me mumbling my way early in the morning through a song idea.
The teacher's bed. No, 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 no.
So it sounds like the ramblings of a mad woman. But what I did next is I knew that I had this melody that I liked, and so I tried to figure out what key was in and what chords I wanted to use. For those who know nothing about music, chord is a series of notes that are harmonically inclined, and typically they form the body of the song, in the sense that they add a lot of richness. I'm going to use that word a lot probably. Richness. Be familiar with it. So I wanted to figure out what scale I was starting in. A scale is a series of notes that sound good together, but it's what an entire song is in. It's how you compose a song. And this is what I came up with. And it's not going to sound good because I chose a really ugly synth at first. You can see there, those are the notes that I chose. I made that. And then I decided, what if it sounded good? What if I made it sound good? And so we go over to this, which is the next project file I opened. It sounds really bad over these speakers. But it's much more rich, more mysterious. There goes that word again. It's much more mysterious. I like it a lot better. It's more atmospheric. So next, I did the rest of the elements that I usually come up with, which I mentioned, bass and drums. Because this forms the beginning of the song, and I am going to hope and pray that this doesn't sound horrible. These are not good speakers. I recommend that everybody listens to the song if you are so inclined at home on their preferred audio system that wasn't provided to you by convention staff. So for the bass line, typically when composing bass lines, the way that most people do it is you want a sense of rhythm. You want to use the same note repeated in order to create some sense of rhythm and provide that sort of lower end to the song in terms of the deeper. You want it to sort of vibrate in your earphones and sort of fill that space. I like to think of music as packing a suitcase a bit, because you got the top, you got the middle, you got the bottom, and you want to make sure everything is packed perfectly. And so that's what the bass does. It packs the bottom of the suitcase. This is what I did. I wanted to make sure that it had that da-da-da-da. Rhythm's very important. And speaking of rhythm, we also have drums. Oh, first there's like a little accent to the bass I added, where I wanted to make sure that it didn't sound too plain, so I added in these other little elements. You can see there, that extra boom, 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 I added in order to add more variety. Next up we have the start of our drums. This is a kick. And kicks can be used a lot of ways, but this is a house song, specifically a deep house song. And house songs, they have what's known as 4 on the floor. 4 on the floor means every single beat, you hear the kick, which is that booming thud. Now I added in that duh for more variety. You don't want to keep things too stale. And then I added in a clap, which is pretty standard, just every other beat. So that forms the foundation for the drums. And then you have your hi-hat, which I will put on in a second. So we're starting to get somewhere a little bit, you can tell. These hats are placed on every single 3rd, 8th note, which is words that you don't understand, but I don't know how to translate. So this is very insightful. But it's that sound, the hi-hat. Sounds like a tick of a clock. And then for more variety, I added in an open hi-hat. The difference between a closed hi-hat and an open hi-hat is that a closed hi-hat makes it sound like tick, 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 while an open hi-hat makes it sound like sss. And sometimes people use them more as like interchangeably, like da 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 da, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed. In my case for this song, I just use the open occasionally in order to accent things. So now let's look at how I added to that, because that's basically the start of the song. We've got our drums, we've got our bass, we've got our chords. What can I do in order to make things sound fuller? So let's see what we have. So I added in plucks. A pluck is a type of synth that sounds like a guitar when you pluck it. That's the idea. Sometimes it doesn't always sound like that, but that's the term that they gave it. So you can hear there in the background, I have those little higher elements, the do, 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 do. A little fun fact for you is that the do, 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 do was actually suggested by my friend Puff, who's one of my best friends in the world. He listened to the song and he was like, you know what this needs? This needs a do, 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 do. And I was like, you're so right, my man. And so I put it in. I hope you're all following along somewhat for the most part. It's very hard to sort of explain this because when you've been doing this for long enough, everything sounds so simple and then you remember what it was like when you started and you didn't understand anything. So atmospheric elements. Songs very rarely have moments of pure silence. And that's because the moments where you think things are silent, they typically have little airiness, little elements that make it feel like there's less, but there's still something in the background. Because in a song, pure silence, very jarring. You don't really hear pure silence ever in life. There's always something going on. So that's what this is meant to simulate. You can sort of hear maybe the sort of airy, like, hum. That's playing throughout the entire song to sort of give it more something in the background. And then adding on to that, we have a pad. A pad is basically a synth that swells upwards. So like it starts quiet, and then it tapers off. Hi. What's up? Oh, you're coming in late. Okay. All right. So those are the elements that I have in order to make things feel quiet, but not feel empty, you know? Adding in the background. These are things that people don't really point out because they're not meant to really be heard. They're meant to sort of exist there and add on. Now, another change that I made is I changed the way that the bass works. So I'm going to show you what I mean. It sounds kind of the same, but if you look at the new and the old pattern, you can see in the old one, all the notes were together. The length was all squished together. It just looks like a block of notes. In the new one, I separated them and I made the length smaller. That way, it sounds more like da 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 rather than da 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 da. You can sort of understand how one feels more punchy, right? Mm-hmm. That's how I changed it. I added in a drum fill. A drum fill is a that's what it means. Whenever someone goes that's a drum fill. Typically you hit the drums in a circle. I use it in order to punctuate the end of each like drum section. So like at the very end you'll hear the fade in. And that's then I added in cowbell. I like cowbell. It's nice. I like it. Now, so we have our chorus instrumental, and that's just what I showed you and everything. Now, how do we make a verse and how do we make a pre-chorus? So what I like to do is I like to take all of the elements that we have in the chorus, find a way to strip it back a bit. And so yeah, they're terrible. They're terrible.
They don't do it justice.
No, they don't. See, fans are saying that they don't do it justice, which means it sounds good, usually. And going on to what I said, in the actual chorus, I have that da 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 da. Here it's just da 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 to let things breathe a bit more, so that the verse feels less like the chorus. It feels a bit less exciting. Because that's what you want a verse to be. You want it to feel a bit less than the chorus, but you also want it to feel familiar. You don't want it to stray too far, unless you do. Some people want it to be something completely different. It's usually a choice. But for me personally, I like to take the elements that I have and just find a way to change them in order to make them feel like something less. I did the exact same thing with the bass, just made it less. For the kick, same thing. Instead of it being do, 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 do on every beat, it's do, 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 do. So a fun thing about this is that the hats come in a bit later than everything else in the verse. And that's because verses and pre-choruses, they're meant to feel like progression. You're building up to something, and that usually is the chorus. And so that's why I like to keep elements and introduce them later in the verse. That way it doesn't feel like the same thing all the way through. It feels like little bits are being added. And that's what I do with the hats. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking, just if you know what to hold back, hold it back. Pre-chorus here. A pre-chorus, we want it to be as empty as possible. We want it to feel like there's a void, like everything's slowing down. But you want to make sure that it's interesting. You don't want things to be completely just nothing. You don't want it to feel like even less than what was there before. You want it to feel new, but you want it to feel a bit more spacey. You want it to feel like a calm before the storm, so to speak. And so what I did is I took a lot of the elements that I had going in the verse out. You can see how it's so much emptier. Like on the right side, all of a sudden most of these blocks cut off. And that's where the pre-chorus is. But to make up for it, I introduced like a more exciting bass pattern. Hi, welcome on in. All right. And then it's that same principle. You want to hold things back and then introduce them a bit later. So I'm going to play that again. I feel like I've not been playing things again for the most part to give you an idea of what's happening. I've sort of just been blazing through. So I'll let you hear uninterrupted what the verse and pre-chorus sound like here. how at the end of the pre-chorus, the kick actually starts to happen more frequently, and that's to sort of give a build-up effect, leading into the chorus. So, next up we're going to talk about toplining, and that's a weird word, but what it means basically is you figure out how to make the melodies and the lyrics for the voice. Because at the end of the day, you have your instrumental, and then you're adding on top the final part, which is the vocals, typically. So, here's how I do it. I usually, sing some random, I play the instrumental, and I just sort of let the music take me, in a sense, which sounds very pretentious. But I usually just, go whatever melody I have in mind. I just start making random sounds with my mouth that approximate a melody. And from there, I add the lyrics based on how many syllables I sang, sort of adjust it how I'm going, and I sing it with my own voice first, which for a Vocaloid song, you don't hear, because it just sounds like a regular song. And I don't really care how good the vocals are, because no one's gonna hear it. Except for right now, where everyone's going to hear it. So give me some grace on how they sound.
I'll stop believing anything you tell me that you're by yourself. Apple on the desk, A plus, fed me with virgin and flour. For me to die, get the best, steady everything you said. I need all the help I can get. I wanna be the teacher's pet. I'm dying alone. Believe me, be I'm dying to know each and everything. Systems of a go. Let me take note of what I could be if I keep on studying. Teacher's pet, none of that.
So I'm gonna stop there because something interesting for people who have listened to my music before is that this is not actually how it sounds in the final song. This is the hook section, and a hook is usually the most catchy part of the song. It's meant to stick in your brain, it's meant to be more simple than everything else. Not all songs use hooks, mostly just pop songs. And I am a pop diva, so I love a hook. I love trying to come up with a catchy melody. And this section is when I was brainstorming. This is what it sounds like when I do a first pass over and I'm just trying to come up with a melody. Is I go, there's a lot of na 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 na, a lot of stuff like that, and that's just because it's placeholders. I'm gonna fill it later. So you get an idea of how I write my songs. I am gonna talk about the lyrics a bit though. I knew from the start what I wanted the lyrics to be about. That's not always the case. Sometimes I'm just playing around and I know, oh, I want to make a song in this genre. Oh, I want to make a song that's like this song. But in some cases, I have an idea right from the start, and I'm like, how can I represent this idea? And the idea that I had from the start was about a crush that I had, how many years ago now? So like seven years ago, when I was in high school, on this girl who I was really good friends with. And in high school, I was not outgoing at all. In high school, I was scared of everyone. In high school, wasn't having a great time. I know I'm at an anime convention and I didn't have a good time in high school and I wasn't popular in high school. Who would have thought? But anyways, this friend I was enamored with because she sort of was a mega extrovert, knew everyone in the school, and just by hanging around with her, I was like meeting all these new people, getting all this purpose. And so I was like in awe of her, and I felt like I owed her my entire social life. And that also contrasted with my feelings for her, and so I just kind of worshipped her a little bit, and I wanted to talk about that. Nothing ever came of that crush because she is straight. Which is
many such cases.
Which is a bit cliche, but I wanted the lyrics to sort of be from the perspective of feeling like you're teaching you, and not in a traditional sense. I felt like I was being taught how to be normal, how to talk to people, how to interact with people, and so I felt like I was a student to her, and at the same time I was in love with her, and that led to Teacher's Pet, which is the idea that I had. And there's a lot of different wordplay in there, and on the chalkboard you can see there's little dogs, which is fun. Now here's part 6, which is making robots sing. the part that you all came for. How do I make the robot sing? Yay! And the answer is first, I try to emulate the vocals I put a piano in my program, and then I place the notes in order to sound exactly like how I sang them.
I wanna be the teacher's pet. I'm dying alone. Believe me, I'm dying now. Each and everything systems are go. Let me take note of what I can be. And my bedroom's studying. I wanna be the teacher's pet.
So what I can then do is I can export that pattern that you see right there, those blocks, and I can put it in Synthesizer V, which is the program that I use. So about what voice I chose. I usually choose in my songs based on which vocal I think would sound the best, which isn't always the case. Some people are like, oh, I like this character, and so I'm gonna make a song with this character. In my case, it's just like, what character could I feel honor the material? And in this case, that's my girl, Eleanor Forte. Not very known. Most of you have probably never heard of her, and that's because she's discontinued. But there has been a couple of popular songs with her recently. If you've ever heard of Flavor Foley in your life, there's a song with her. But here's what I do. So I add the lyrics to the little blocks, and I adjust it based on how I want it to sound.
Assign me personalities, I'll take the quiz again. To get the right result that makes you think that I'm a 10. Exams are coming, it's all or nothing. My nose is to the grindstone, so I'm your polished apple on the...
So right there, there's a lot of stylization going on because I like to make sure that my vocals sound robotic. It's, in my opinion, I don't really have a reason. Well, that's not true. But part of the appeal of Vocaloids, in my opinion, is that I like them to sound like a robot. It's fun to feel like something slightly askew, you know? It still feels like a human voice, but it just feels a bit wrong. Some people, they tune it to sound just like a real human voice exactly. That's not my thing. And so typically I like to make my pitch transitions, which is the transition between one note to another note, flat. So it goes, no human singer can go straight from one note to another note without there being some bending going down. But a robot, they can do that, and that's what I like to see.
Escape last, no star student, come and lecture me to death. Get no rest, keep on counting every...
So I'm gonna skip over a bit, and we're gonna talk about vocal stacks. Now, what is a vocal stack? So every song that you hear, there's a good chance that there is more than one vocal track. Even if it sounds like there's only one person singing, there's usually a bunch of stuff below that. And that's what I did here. I've done much more complex vocal stacks in that I've had 8 vocal tracks going at once in some of my songs. And this one, I only have 4. But this is what the vocals sound like. I hate these speakers. So,
If you leave me be, each and everything.
those are doubles. Now what doubles are is that they exist in order to make things wider. Now what wide means is like when you're listening to a song in your ears, you have a left channel and you have a right channel. And often those two things are playing completely different sounds. And by playing 2 of the exact same vocal over each other, usually with humans, because you cannot sing anything exactly the same way twice, it creates this effect like there's 2 people singing. Here, I space them out between the left and the right channel, just little bits, in order to make things feel bigger in your earphone at a specific part. And that sort of creates moments where it feels a bit louder, a bit more. But right there is my harmonies. I just realized I don't think I was talking about the right thing. Oops. But harmonies are basically you sing a different melody that sounds good with another melody.
If you leave me be.
The original melody there is, if you leave me be. What I did is I pitched it up so that it sounds like this.
Each and everything.
So you can hear there's a bit of a difference in the melody there, and you're like, oh, I wonder how that'll mesh. Well, let's listen to the same thing. I also have a lower version.
Each and everything.
And when you put that all together,
I could be if I keep on studying. So, oh, 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 oh. So, oh, 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 I wanna be.
you can hear that it sounds more complex. It sounds better when you put things together that way. And that's the end of what I want to show you as far as making it. Now I wanted to listen to the final product. So we're gonna do that, and I'm just gonna pray that it sounds good, which I know it won't. That's a song by a different artist that I hate because they make it so that when I search up Teacher's Pet, it is not the first or even second or third thing that comes up. Because I'm not logged in, the algorithm isn't showing me what I want. So let's make it more specific, shall we? All right. This is gonna sound so bad over these speakers. Oh God, I'm so scared.
Maybe if you turn them down.
Yeah, let me try turning them down and see if that helps in any sense at all. Let's see. Yeah. I'm gonna play around with it.
I would say it's like having another producer in the room that knows
What an
exactly
awesome
what your
song.
song is.
Yeah, I know. I hired this guy to talk
the
over the
fastest
song.
way to find
Well, they're
samples
still getting
is
targeted
that they work.
advertisement.
Yep. Yep.
Like me getting plain, I'm so shyly inept. Keeps they pass together when I'm living through the test. Destined to be known to you, a little thing was kept. Stuck in you like super glue, I'm otherwise a pest. I wanna be the teacher's pet. Dying alone, if you leave me be. Dying to know each and everything since that time ago. Let me take note of who I could be if I keep on studying. So me in a cage, hang me around
congratulations, you came in at the very end of the panel.
Sorry.
You're not forgiven, and I will haunt you for all eternity. So it turns out we did finish in time. That's the song, and that song is semi-popular. What I love about this song is that a lot of my songs, I care a lot about the meaning being conveyed exactly how I want it, but with this particular song, there's lots of different interpretations that people, like, sort of... Wait, this is just a different song. It auto-played. I hate you. Stop auto-playing things when I don't want them.
I think that's also a different song.
Nope, this is the same one. So this person was talking about how it felt like when they went to conventions and they were following around their friend, they like wanted to make themselves as small as possible, but they enjoyed being around people who are more lively than they were. And this person's talking about how this is like completely different from my intention, but I think it's cool. Was talking about how sort of they put their entire life into academia and sort of forgot about everything that's unique to them in the process. This person's talking about how they look to their friends who are cisgender when it comes to imitating them in order to seem more masculine. And I think it's so cool that all these people have different experiences and different thoughts and different relations to the song that I made. And it's one of my favorite things about music, especially when people trauma dump to me in comments, and that's serious. That's not a joke. I love when people just tell me their entire life story in the comments. It's fascinating. I really appreciate it. Anyways, does anyone have any questions? Because we do have time for Q&A really quickly. Yes, question.
Hey, so I got a question about how you've stacked the vocals. You were talking about
Yes.
how you had like up to 8.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything different on like the left-right vocals, or are you just panning like how loud or how far left-right?
I changed the timing a bit for the
Okay.
doubles in order to make them more far apart in the mix, which
Is the stems like where they're placed?
where they're placed. Yeah, I spaced them apart about 20 milliseconds to the past, 20 milliseconds to the future. There's got to be a way of saying that, but that creates sort of a difference between them that allows it to sound bigger, wider. Is there any other questions? You have a question.
Yes, I was wondering, is the program you use free or is it like
There is a
free version?
No, there is not a free version. But there are plenty of programs that are free that do the similar thing. In particular, there is Utao,
Yeah, I
which
heard
is free. And you can get that working. And nowadays, there's like lots of different ways. You can make things sound like this using Utaos nowadays. And I really recommend looking into that, specifically looking into Dip Singer. All right, is there anything
Also,
else?
other free versions if you know where to look.
Yes, this is true.
Absolutely.
Nothing else? Well, oh, no, more people, yes?
Did the subject of your adoration ever know about it, or did you just keep it to yourself? I'm curious.
Well, you see, I said nothing because I knew that they were straight. So it just felt like, why should I say anything? It'll just make things awkward between
Did
us.
you guys stay friends?
After high school, no.
No.
No, just stop contacting me. But that's just how it is when you're done high school. Half the people you know stop contacting me. I'm only in contact with 2 people from high school now. Anyways, anything else? Yes.
Do you get artist block?
Do I ever get artist block? Rarely. Very rarely. There's usually always something that I have spinning around. I do get block on specific songs though. Sometimes I'll start something and then I'll just have no idea where I want it to go and I'll put it aside for a while. But that's the exact reason why I have 5 things going at once all the time. So artist block, there's always something I want to do. But it can be hard to follow through all the time. So things will sit for a long period of time. The most recent song that I released, I started it 3 years ago. 2 years ago, actually, I lied. So, you know, I put releasing that one off for a variety of reasons for a while. But, any other questions? Yes?
What program do you use to make music?
I use Reaper, which is free.
Oh.
And by that I mean it's the WinRAR model. If you've ever heard of WinRAR, it'll tell you that it's paid, but if you wait 5 seconds, it'll just let you keep using it anyways. I have been Evaluating Reaper. Wait, hold on. In one of my songs, I actually have the exact message.
Imagine
I hate you.
an app with your name on it.
I don't know
Just by
you.
thinking about it. Mean base
An ad blocker?
Your ideas too.
I don't use this ever, this
Oh.
computer. I only use it for like occasionally school. But in this exact thing, I have
Oh, the type of button.
this one's a lot more of a fun video. Let me see where it is. Oh my god, it's so hard to find. Here it is, okay. So you can't see it, but it says that I've been evaluating Reaper for. I wish I could get higher quality so I could see this better, but unfortunately things don't always go as you want in this world.
Should look. There we go.
I have been evaluating Reaper for approximately 1,650 days. I still haven't decided if I like it and want to use it yet. I'm still thinking about it.
Yes.
No one's gonna sue me for this, by the way. They did this on purpose. Okay. One day I might buy it.
One day.
One day. Anyways, any other questions? Yes.
Yeah. Can I get your take on like the different Vocaloid softwares and why did you choose like synth and why are you still using synth as opposed to like Vocaloid?
Vocaloid right now is a mess. Vocaloid 6 is not a good program. It's not user friendly. The updates aren't great. It doesn't run great on your computer. And
$600.
yeah. I used Vocaloid for a while originally. I started with that, but I also just like the banks and synth better. They sound better and they just sound good. I like them. There's a lot more that you can do with them generally. And yeah, there's also Sebio, which is another big one, which is also known as Voicesona now, I think. And that one I haven't tried, but I've heard it's pretty good. And Utao is not that user-friendly because it's an open source software that wasn't made by a team of professionals, but I have used it for some things. One of my songs is a Utao. It is not released yet because reasons, but it will eventually. All right, any other questions, or is that it? We're all good? Well, thank you, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation. I had a lot of fun doing it, even though I was super stressed. But yeah, I hope at the very least that you enjoyed it. If you want, you can check out my music, but also I hope that this was good. I hope you enjoyed it. If anyone wants to talk to me afterwards, they can, because I'm a person who can be talked to. It's the thing about me.
I have a question. Can I have my tripod back?
Yeah, you can have it.